Today, Bitcoin reached a new all-time high, touching prices just below 108,000. Bitcoin has now cleared the 100K level with confidence, and we have not rejected these prices. Bitcoin is still in a higher low, higher high trajectory. And that is the definition of an uptrend. So Bitcoin is still trending. The trend is our friend on the 4-hour chart, on the daily chart, on the weekly chart, and on the monthly chart. The trend is our friend. Going back to the daily chart, Bitcoin's price has been steadily ping-ponging along this channel, now meeting that resistance once again. Is Bitcoin going to see a possible dip to retest support before continuation? Or are we going to break out sooner rather than later? All of this and more in today's video. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is... Today is Monday, which means that yesterday, the weekly candle, our last weekly closed. We closed above the wick high of the previous week before that, setting a new record for highest weekly close ever for Bitcoin. If you bring out your line chart, you switch your chart to a line chart, you can see that Bitcoin is pretty much just going up in a straight line. Despite the volatility in between the weeks, the line chart only accounts for candle closes, and it seems like Bitcoin is not giving up any of its gains thus far. Going back to the candle chart and then going back to the daily chart, Bitcoin sitting in the upward sloping channel that we discussed, with the target being the 1272 that we reached today, which is along the upward sloping resistance line, giving a slight rejection, although we're still up on the day. Now, I want to bring your attention to the daily MACD histograms, and what we can see is that we are attempting a cross up. The bulls may be regaining momentum fully in the very near future. The MACD crosses are oftentimes not something to ignore. Of course, they're not guaranteed to play out, but usually when we get a cross, we spend a lot of time going in that direction, at least a week or two. Every time we have a cross up, going up for like a week or two, down here, another week or two. And most recently, the last cross up we had took place over here at 75,000 roughly when we crossed up. The MACD spent most of November in a bullish posture. And when Bitcoin crossed up, that initiated a huge bullish move. When the MACD peaked, you saw the bulls begin to lose momentum, and then the price action became a little bit more sideways when we were losing momentum on the bullish side. And even when the bears regained momentum on the MACD, that didn't really stop this train from continuing up. The cross down on the daily MACD resulted in, a couple days down. But that was really the low point. Bitcoin continued to print higher lows. We had some crazy volatility in the midst of this cross down, but the bears have now lost their momentum and the bulls are regaining momentum. We are actually about to we are crossing up right now on the daily. So if we do get this cross up and we close with a confirmed cross up, I do think Bitcoin may be able to actually break this channel line, this resistance line, and punch up towards the 1618 fib. 111,600 is the next major target. And from current prices, that's another 5.5% up for Bitcoin. So that's really what I'm looking for right now on the bullish side. Now, obviously, I'm very bullish on this market. I have been remaining bullish for a very long time, discussing the parabolic trend. Bitcoin is obviously still going parabolic here. Now, I just want to mention that to the downside, Bitcoin has a lot of room to move down while still maintaining the uptrend. If you're looking at this upward sloping channel, in theory, Bitcoin's price could come all the way down to 100,000 and still be in an uptrend, right? I know a lot of people, you can imagine if Bitcoin's price, let's say, chopped sideways for a bit and then dipped to 100, people would be freaking out, as they always do. But you just look at the uptrend line, that is a perfect buy zone for Bitcoin. That is a great support target, and that would be a higher low in the midst of a major bull market. I think the outcome would end up being pretty positive, regardless if we saw a slight dip to retest the channel line, the upward sloping channel line. I think Bitcoin would do just fine from there and continue the bull run. What's really, really clear looking at the weekly chart is that Bitcoin does not want to give up these levels right here. You can see as the price came up after the all-time high break, we ran up to, just around 100, and we had the next weekly where we pulled back close to 90,000 right there, and we wicked up for the end of the week. We closed the week almost near the open, and then the week after that, we opened, pulled back to a slightly higher low, signaling an increase in demand, and we bounced up and closed the weekly above the highest weekly. That was the highest weekly close at the time. The next week we open, we pull back to a slightly higher low, signaling an increase in demand, and we just wick right back up and close the highest weekly ever at the time. And right now Bitcoin is showing, that we've opened this week quite positive. Is it possible that Bitcoin could play out another wick down to meet that channel line, just like the other weeks? I mean, totally possible. Why not, right? This would still be quite bullish. Imagine if this weekly closed like this. We would consider that bullish, and the next one just continue up, continue to run up, regardless of the volatility within the week. I mean, this would just be a really bullish chart if you ask me. Right now, there is no wick there, but what I'm saying is the range of volatility, while still remaining very bullish, is down to 100 and then bounce up by the end of the week. So that type of volatility is possible. Will that happen? I'm not really sure, because the market has tried to break down multiple times, and speculators, traders, investors were eating up those prices quickly, a lot of demand. And so I'm not sure if the market is going to want to give people another buy opportunity before running up, but it is in the realm of possibility. Ultimately, the trend is up. Ultimately, I am bullish. Ultimately, I am looking for higher prices despite whatever volatility there may be. Any dips will be short-lived at this point in the cycle. They usually are short-lived at this point in the cycle. Now, I would also like to discuss Bitcoin's monthly chart, because if you look at Bitcoin's monthly chart, I posted this chart on Twitter, and this is the Bitcoin monthly chart, the current monthly, compared to 2020, 2021. And you can also look back at other cycles. Usually when you get your all-time high break, there are several green months in a row, in succession, that take place. And we're only on the second month right here. And so every other cycle, we've had many months up to the first peak, right, to the first high of the cycle. So what I was saying is that we're just getting started, right? We're just getting started in the cycle. There's still a lot of skepticism. Every time Bitcoin shows a little bit of red candles, a few red candles, people get super, super fearful. And that really has a lot to do with the psychological 100K level that we were above and below, and people would be, optimistic and then pessimistic below it. And that would just continue to happen. But now we're fully above it. So I think sentiment will continue to get better and better, and skepticism will continue to decrease as we go higher in price, which is of course always how it goes. And skepticism will be at its lowest point when you're at your highest point. That's always how it goes. But in theory, we have many months up from here before we find some kind of local top. But I would like to make sure that there's something understood about what happened in the last cycle, because I think a lot of people, when they look at the monthly chart from 2021, they just look at it as if it's a straight line up. And let me go back to 2021. And here's your all-time high break for Bitcoin right here at 20,000. You can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4 months up. And during those months, if you look in the month of January, you had the monthly open at 28,800, and the price ran all the way up to 42,000 and then closed that monthly back at 33,000. Yes, it was a green monthly, but from that high to the close, it was a 21% drop. That's volatile. The next monthly, it opens up around 33,000, and then it runs all the way up to 58.3 thousand, and then drops 22% into the close. It was a green monthly, but it was highly volatile. This is what a lot of people don't seem to grasp when they look at these past charts. They just think, oh, look, it was a straight line up. You have to imagine, like, let's say 45% in 1 month, that monthly, with a 20% drop to close. Just imagine if that happened here. People think that it was a straight line up in 2021, but let's just go ahead and measure this up for a second. If Bitcoin went up, the same percent, which was like 40% or so, and then dropped 20%, and then dropped 20%, if we had a candle like that, Bitcoin would hit 140,000 and then close the monthly at 110. I'm not saying that that's my prediction. I'm trying to show you the type of volatility that these cycles produce. Even when you have green monthlies, those swings are still insane. They're still mind-blowing, right? When you're looking at 2021, don't forget to consider those wicks. Don't forget that, because that is something that I think a lot of people would be scared of. Even though the monthly would close green, it would cause a lot of fear. So keep that in mind, you know. And inside of those monthlies, these big wicks, there's a lot of short positions. And if the next monthly can open up and squeeze up and break that wick high, it creates a large trap liquidity setup where you get a huge pump to the upside. And so in terms of the range of volatility, if we were to continue up, I'd be looking for 109,750 as the trap liquidity short squeeze target on the 4-hour chart. And then the overall daily Fibonacci extension target is going to be 111,500 or 111,600, somewhere right in there at the 1272. That would be the zone I think Bitcoin would be testing before possibly running up again or, you know, coming back into the channel. But that's the zone I'd be looking at. And if Bitcoin, let's say, is not able to break out again in the short term, the range of volatility, while still remaining very bullish, is a retest of 100K as a new support with a major bounce. I mean, that would be one of the most bullish events in Bitcoin history, is breaking above 100, fully retesting it on a daily timescale, not just all this choppy stuff that happened the past, you know, couple weeks. I'm talking about breaking above 100K fully as we just did, and then getting a full retest to confirm it as support. That would be one of the most bullish support resistance flips in Bitcoin history, the 6-figure level. So if that happens, I would not really be concerned. In fact, I would love to see that happen. I would love to see it. I think that'd be awesome. The way that people behave in this market, the sentiment shifts, is just kind of stupid, right? Like, people would be upset about retesting 100. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, when you think about it. A couple weeks ago, 100K was the absolute moon. And then if we go back to retest it, people would be like, oh no, it's over, which is just ridiculous. It's absurd how people behave. The way that people's emotions are affected by this market is just ridiculous. That would be perfectly bullish along an uptrend, retesting the most important price level in Bitcoin history as new support. I would be very happy about that. So it doesn't really concern me. I think Bitcoin is positioned really nicely here. So at the moment, I feel good about the Bitcoin price, the way that it's playing out. As long as the S&P 500, the stock market, the global markets, as long as they're remaining bullish and continuing to trend up, I have no reason to be bearish. By the way, guys, if you haven't signed up for Kraken Pro, which is this platform, the platform you guys see me using all my videos, be sure to use that link below. I have more content on Kraken Pro coming on this channel in the very near future. Get started today by clicking that link below and signing up. And every weekday in my Discord at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, I have a voice chat where I share my screen and we do live market updates every weekday, analyzing the market, talking about Bitcoin, altcoins, trades, trends, all that kind of stuff. And that is only for Patreon members. Once you join Patreon and you connect Patreon to Discord in the settings, then you get loaded into my Discord and you will be able to access those morning voice chats and actually talk to me directly on weekday mornings. If that interests you, definitely join today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.